I want to go across first and foremost to Ian Bremmer, because the sense that I picked up from the panel was that the expectations about there being a joint communique were muted before all the world leaders landed in the capital for this G20 Leaders Summit. Mr. Bremmer, when you do a before and after postmortem, looking at what you thought would happen in Delhi, and now that you know most of what the outcome has been, how do you think it's gone?
Well, I thought it was going to be successful, and it slightly exceeded my expectations because of the joint communique. Probably made a little bit easier by the fact that Xi Jinping wasn't there. I don't think that Xi's absence really detracted from India's success and from the broader G20 success of the meeting. I also would point out that this joint communique, which did not discuss or call out Russia directly, but did, uphold the UN Charter and abhor any, restrictions or interventions against a country's territorial integrity and sovereignty. That formulation better reflects the interests of the G20, better reflects the interests of the countries that are attending. First and foremost, that of India, the host country. So I think that this does reflect a lot of hard work on the part of the Indian government, and particularly the Sherpa for the G20, a good working relationship between India and the United States, and a successful G20 summit this weekend.
Kishore Mehbubani, you're currently in Taiwan. You were meeting some top Taiwanese politicians for dinner, which is where we literally requested you to come out and join us. So give us a sense of how this is being decoded in Taiwan, and especially given the fact that Xi Jinping didn't come, there is a joint communique at the end, slightly muted language around the Russia-Ukraine war. What have been your main takeaways?
Well, unfortunately, I can tell you that the dinner in Taiwan didn't discuss the G20 meeting. It discussed actually whether or not Taiwan would become the next Ukraine, which is, of course, the big issue of the day in Taiwan. But to give you my perspective on the G20 meeting, I agree with Ian that I think India can regard this G20 meeting as a big success. Firstly, I think getting the African Union in as a member is a huge achievement. Because in most global meetings, the European Union, which represents 5 or 6% of the world's population, is hugely overrepresented. I mean, they send 3 or 4 representatives for every global meeting, which is crazy for such a small group of people on the planet Earth. The Africans, as you know, are going to be the fastest growing population on planet Earth. And the fact that Prime Minister Modi succeeded in getting the African Union as a permanent member of the G20 is a huge achievement. And the effects will be there for the next 20, 30 years. As the weight of Africa grows in global affairs, it'll be well represented in the G20. And secondly, I also agree with Ian that it's actually quite remarkable that there was a Greek joint statement. There was actually some fears there will be no joint statement, but there was one. And in some ways, actually, Ukraine has done India a big favor by criticizing the statement. Because when Ukraine criticized the statement, it showed that the statement was very balanced and neutral. It was trying to sort of understand that there are two sides to this issue, that certainly Russian invasion of Ukraine is illegal, no question about it. But at the same time, to find a solution, you have to get all the parties together. And so for India to succeed in getting a joint statement, but it's endorsed by everybody and criticized by Ukraine, shows that maybe at the end of the day, it was a kind of a balanced statement, and that shows where India is heading.